you had this dynamic at the World Series that all the top teams lost early. The team I like, the Atlanta Braves, they won more games than anybody. They won, over 100. The Dodgers won over 100. All the high-winning teams went out early, were beat. And so literally the two worst teams in the playoffs are the two teams with the worst record in the playoffs, even though Texas Rangers did have they had an equal record as Houston, but they lost by tiebreakers that they had. So they won 90 games, but the Arizona Diamondbacks, I believe, won 84 games, and really people kept saying, how are they in the playoffs? But they played heroically, and so they made it to the World Series. But in there are such amazing comms, communications. And there's a whole culture that's developed, we'll say, particularly among patriots, of figuring out comms and understanding that that's how communication is taking place, and that communication, even from, our commander-in-chief, is taking place that way. And different ones you've had on the programs here, whether it's Derek Johnson or Dr. Jan or other ones, will tell you how comms are a big deal, and really how a whole lot of this war is being waged between, if you say simplistically, good guys and bad guys. Darkness and righteousness. So here's we're going to try not to give you so much again that you miss the central points, because you can just have too many points, too many numbers, too many names. For those who don't know, it's called the World Series, even though it's just baseball. People have and sometimes laughed around the world, wow, you're the egotistical nature of our nation or whatever, to call our championships world something or another.
Yeah, when except for like one team, or maybe there's more than one. The Toronto Blue Jays, all everyone else is in the U.S., right? That plays this World Series.
But those who know baseball do know that the top players in the world do come to play here. And so that's why there are a bunch of foreign players in this country. But there's even a common there. There's a World Series. There's a World Serious. There's a World Serious thing going on. So the World Series champ. And the final was the Texas. It's the first team to win 4 games. Okay, it's best of 7 is another way of doing it. So they play each other. And the Texas Rangers won. They won 4 on the 5th game. And so in other words, game 5 is when they became World Series champions. The Texas Rangers defeated the Arizona Diamondbacks, and it was a 5-0, 5-0 score in game 5.
Wow.
So you're going to get a lot of fives, which is the number of grace that go on. And the Texas Rangers defeating the Arizona Diamondbacks. So we're going to talk for a moment about Rangers and Diamondbacks and what might be going on here. I'm going to tell you, first of all, I'm going to do something just a little different. I feel like the Lord's just reminding, the Holy Spirit's reminding me right now. I'm going to tell you what the message is first, and then we're going to go and look at the comms, even though I already said some of it. I believe that the comms that were laid out from heaven show us that the executive orders that you've been hearing about from people like Derek Johnson and Dr. Jan and others are valid. That you're going, I don't know if that's real. It's real. It's valid. Number 2, that Texas will be where most or all of our central government, if you want to call our federal government, will be based from.
Yeah, that's like a huge comm, isn't it? You're just announcing that. And I believe you, but other people are going, what are you saying? The White House is in Washington, D.C., Johnny. How do you, I guess I'll let you answer that when you're ready.
Yes, we'll get to the comms on that. Number 3 is that God's grace is pulling this off. So that's the number 5 we're seeing over and over. Number 4, the election will be proven to have been overturned. It will be overturned, and the steal in Arizona will be exposed. Particularly because that's where it started. When Fox way early announced the most illogical announcement for, it was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, last, yesterday, was it yesterday or day before?
I think it was, yeah.
3 years ago that they're calling Arizona. It was the sign that they were doing the deepest level of cheat imaginable. That was the sign it was on. And then number 5, Trump will get the diamonds back. So what's that? Well, Trump has been saying all along, for those who've been listening to him, the diamonds were stolen, and we've got to get the diamonds back. And so these are comms that are coming out. Now back to the game. So remember, the final is between the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Rangers, most probably know, or if you don't, I will just tell you, they're elite military forces, special operations unit. Only highly qualified people even attempt to be a part of them, and they have 50% quit, even though they know to expect very rough. They quit before they become Rangers because the procedure, the process of becoming a Ranger is so intense and so difficult. But so they're special operations, and they have 3 phases of training. The last 2 training phases are the mountain phase and then the swamp phase.
Oh, wow.
So you have special operations where swamp phase is the last phase of becoming a Texas Ranger. And their history dates.
The swamp phase is, by that, do you mean they have to learn to fight in the swamp? Is that what that means?
They literally go to the swamps of Florida, and they learn to survive and do swamp warfare, whatever.
Wow.
And so that's the Rangers. And they're the ones that won. And they're the ones that won 5-0, 5th game. The Diamondbacks lost. Okay. So what are Diamondbacks? The Arizona Diamondbacks. They are rattlesnakes. They're snakes. But also, get the comm here, the communications. Remember, the diamonds back.
Yeah.
We need the diamonds back. So
and Trump actually used, if someone robs diamonds, they don't get to keep the diamond. Didn't he actually use that
multiple times? Multiple times.
Okay.
The diamonds must be given back. Give back the diamonds. And so, and again, so you have the Diamondbacks. So the Diamondbacks, they lose, and so I think we're seeing early on the comms between why the Texas Rangers defeat the Arizona Diamondbacks. So Diamondbacks, whether you call them snakes, lies, and we got to get the diamonds back, are in there as well. Of interest as well is that, if you remember, President Trump, back to this part of, I believe, government is being set up in Texas. And we know just by observation, the IRS, if you get your whatever mailings, it's Austin now. FDIC has moved there. And and President Trump, if you remember, he filed an election. I should figure out the actual technical, but it was an election challenge that was filed in Texas. And it was challenged to the state elections, specifically in Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. And Michigan was the other one. But I'll mention Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Georgia because those are the teams. It was the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Philadelphia Phillies from Pennsylvania, the Atlanta Braves from Georgia. Those were the teams that were knocked off on the way to this World Series moment. So we're saying,
are you saying the ones that were knocked off, or are you saying they were what's the word? Go ahead. I'm trying to think of the word.
They lost in the playoffs. They were playoff teams that lost.
Do they happen to be swing states that lost?
Oh, yes, they were swing states.
They were swing states okay.
So in the Atlanta Braves, the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Arizona Diamondbacks, those were teams that lost on the way, and the Texas Rangers triumphed. It wasn't just in that order over them. There's many other teams in the playoffs, but anyway, that's just part of it. So, okay, moving on. Now, here's the main person. If you're forgetting a lot of this, there's one person to remember, And I think he was the most important player. I think the Texas Rangers know he was the most important starter for sure. But he's the one who won Game 5, and his name is Nathan Eovaldi. And as
is he a pitcher?
He's a pitcher.
Okay.
He was not the big name. The big names, they really, Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. I don't know if I've pronounced them exact. Those are the huge contracts that were bought by them. But Max played some, but he only lasted a couple of innings late in I think, I don't know if it was Game 7. No, it was the previous Game 6, because of back spasms or something. And then Jacob deGrom was knocked out way early in the year. So he was one 33-year-old veteran, and who's done well. He has a knack for doing very well in playoff games. And he's a number 17. So there's all kinds of comms around Nathan Eovaldi. So this is he was guy. Yeah, this is not
he's number 17, which is
he played for that's a better picture right there. So he's number 17. Now, to remind you, and no matter what somebody like a certain general says who's still trying to do his own stuff, 17th letter of the alphabet is Q, and 17 is also the number of victory. And if you remember 1 Samuel 17, is when David defeated Goliath.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, we have a lot of what 17 represents. And so this is, I'm telling you again, this is a calm communication from heaven. So Eovaldi is number 17. And go ahead and show the next picture on Eovaldi, if y'all have it there as I'm speaking. Okay, so that's how his name's spelled, Nathan Eovaldi. And now let me just show the breakdown I have on this. So you see, if you just change the I and the D at the end, Nathan, the executive orders are valid.
Wow.
So for more understanding, Nathan was David's prophet. So it's telling us there's a prophetic message here. Nathan was the prophet around David. His name means gift from God. Nathan's 33 years old, as it would turn out. 33 is just this number of maturity. It's when Jesus laid down his life and accomplished redemption for us as well. So there's a prophetic message, and the prophetic message in that very strange last name is telling us that the executive orders, like if you're wondering if people like Derek Johnson and others that are telling you about executive orders, are they really what's in force and what's in place? Yes, we are under military occupancy. There are federal continuity directives going on. Executive order, look at 13912, executive order 13919. I'm not going to go through those now. That can be something he and others do as well. But I'm telling you, the Lord is telling you and telling us that these are valid and that they are operational, and they are holding, they hold a place in the whole process right now. So it is just huge that there would be somebody named Nathan, and whose name would start. How many people's name do you know that start with EO? And I just don't know if I've never heard of a name that starts with EO, and that you just have to change the DI to ID. So you ID that it's valid. And just kind of more curious, he signed a 2-year contract for $34 million with Texas, which is $17 million per year. He has
another 17. You can't make this stuff up, man.
And then you look in multiple places, and his weight is always listed as 217 pounds. It's not 218, it's not 220, it's not 216. It's 217 pounds. So he's number 17, 217 pounds, $17 million a year. And he's the winner of the World Series. He's the one that gets the win that makes them World Series champions. So I'm telling you that is communications from heaven as well. So we're almost done with that. Well, of interest as well, there were the Texas Rangers had 3 players that were born in Cuba that were on their roster, and and these are, these were not ones that came through legal maneuvers. These are freedom lovers that had to escape in unique ways and come in unique ways and make their way. And included in that is number 45, Araldus Chapman, and he was the relief pitcher. He's a relief pitcher. He's been around a while. He's 35 years old, so he's in we'll say the latter stages of his career. And they actually picked him up this year, late in the year, or halfway in the year, or somewhere. He started out with Kansas City, but he's the one that when Nathan Yovali tired, he came in and he did the next pitch. He didn't close the game, but he did what's called the relief pitching, and he gets a hold. A hold is where you don't allow. You usually get called in when there is trouble, there's runners on base, and you hold, you stop the enemy. So a number 45 now.